Hi there, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the WayForward Chat podcast. I am your social media tinkerbat, Hoff, coming to you live from the Geofront, and I am joined by my usual co-host, WayForward head of BizDev and Publishing, Adam Tierney, as well as WayForward director, Tom Hewlett. As always, thank you for joining me, guys.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Always a pleasure.
So we are here today because it is the first day of Anime Expo 2025 at the Los Angeles Convention Center in LA, California. Matt and Aaron Bozon are actually there today in about 2 hours. They will be celebrating the launch of a new Shantae series, Bolo Karaguman from Vokes. And tomorrow we will be holding our Way Forward Game Dev panel at 5:45 p.m. in room 404 AB. So we figured, hey, anime is a big part of our collective Way Forward DNA. So let's just sort of talk about our anime history, our past Anime Expo experiences, what fans can look forward to tomorrow, including a look at the freebie that we'll be giving away to all attendees who come to our panel. And of course, we will be taking questions about anime or anything else as the show progresses, so please feel free to ask in chat with the Q colon. Just to get this out of the way, we are not announcing a Shantae anime today. Shantae is also not coming to Fortnite. If those are your questions, we will probably not be answering.
Oh, come on, Hoff, you're no fun.
Just to get that out there. Just to get that out there. Let's kick this discussion off. How
Well, I guess
did you
what we
guys...
should probably do is we should probably talk what is Anime Expo, because maybe some people listening have no idea that this is basically the major, I think it's probably the major one in the US, but it's definitely the one that I'm most aware of. But Anime Expo, once a year, they do this massive convention in Los Angeles where it's celebrating anime and manga and video games and anything that has kind of an anime style to it. And we were so fortunate 2 years ago to be invited by the people that run Anime Expo to have a panel. Went really fantastic the last 2 years. We had lots of cool attendees. We did lots of good reveals and promotions of our current and upcoming projects. Had nice little micro interviews with directors such as Tom. And so this is going to be our third year there, and we're super excited to be there tomorrow. And hopefully you guys will like what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your guys' origin to anime? How were you introduced to this art form initially? I'm sure many many years back.
Tom, you go first because I'm curious. You and I might have a similar anime origin story, I suspect.
Um, my anime origin story is I grew up playing video games and reading Nintendo Power, and I didn't realize this art style that seemed consistent. I didn't really know where it came from. And then I knew of a concept of anime being cartoons from Japan. Sorry, Japanimation at the time. We were awful back then. And then I saw Vampire Hunter D
Hmm.
on Sci-Fi Channel, and I thought it was a Castlevania show, and then somehow all of that clicked in my mind, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is an anime," and I like it. And so then I went from there to like Lodoss War and Akira and all the big stuff you could get back then, which was far different than now. But yeah, that's mine. How does that compare to you, Adam?
Yeah, kind of similar. I think I was thinking more kind of like practical access. For me, I think I started seeing most of the anime, and it really blew my mind with there was a tiny little section at our warehouse. And they just had some of the warehouse is not around anymore, but they had some great anime on VHS. And I remember within probably a few months watching Akira. Akira might have been the first one that I ever watched, not counting, stuff on TV like Robotech and stuff like that. But Akira, they had Appleseed, they had Ninja Scroll, and various other ones. I think it was before Ghost in the Shell because it was like early 90s, maybe very late 80s at that point, and just immediately falling in love with it. And same thing, we had a Hollywood video. They had a nice little anime section. And then shortly afterwards, going to Suncoast Video, Sam Goody, all those places that are not really around anymore, and buying, what was it, like 30, 40, $50 like 2-episode VHS tapes. It was ridiculous, but
Yeah,
yeah, I was very
it
hooked
was
from a very early age.
Suncoast was 25 for a dub and 35 for a sub.
Oh wow.
For yeah, two episodes on a VHS.
And I gotta say that starting
Yeah.
with Akira really kind of spoils you, because it's like, oh man, this anime stuff is great, I can't wait to see more.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just, I mean, to this day, is there anything top to bottom, animation quality wise, story wise, is there anything as good as Akira? I'm not sure that there is.
Yeah, I don't think so.
His team really knocked it out of the park on that one. Other than I think some of the comparable ones are the weird little projects that Otomo worked on around the same time, like Robot Carnival and the Labyrinth, which finally eventually came out here. His little short on the Labyrinth is fantastic. But yeah, man, God, I loved that stuff at the time.
It's funny that you mentioned Robotech, because I think that would probably be what I consider my introduction to anime. Like, I would watch cartoons and stuff as a kid, and then I saw this thing. I'm like, well, this is definitely different from the other stuff I'm used to. The art style is different. It sort of seems more sophisticated. And oh my God, Robotech just said the word ass. You can't say the word ass on TV, on afternoon on a cartoon. No way. What is this? But I didn't really get into it or anything. But I saw it and knew it was definitely different.
Yeah, I
And then,
think
like, later on,
another kind of backdoor way that was introductory to anime for a lot of us growing up in the 80s is the animation studios that would sometimes work on Western cartoons, especially
yep, that's
in the
true.
intro sequences. And that I remember, even younger,
Mhm.
I remember, boy, it's very weird. Like, you watch Thundercats and it's like, it's okay, but man, the intro is amazing, and Turtles is okay, but the intro is amazing. And you come to
Toei
learn
Anime,
that
a
some of
lot of
these,
US stuff.
yeah, the best anime studios in the world were doing some of those intros. A lot of them were done by very name anime directors, and even stuff where it's like The Littles. Like, look it up on YouTube. It's like, I think that was by TMS. It's like got incredible, crazy animation for the intro. And I remember kind of a litmus test nowadays is everybody remembers Garfield more fondly than Heathcliff. But now, as you're older, go look at the animation, and the quality of Heathcliff, which again was done, I believe, by some Japanese studios, is just so gorgeous compared to, like, an average Garfield episode or an average kind of any American cartoon episode from the 80s.
Yeah, if we're
Yeah,
counting
it's
TMS, then
definitely
my
true.
anime origin is Inspector Gadget, which I recently found out only occurred because they had the rights to Lupin. They were going to do an American Lupin and they lost the rights, so that turned into Inspector
Huh.
Gadget. So that's
That's
crazy.
crazy. I didn't even know they
What's
were
TMS?
involved with Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, that's TMS.
What does TMS mean?
But what is it?
Not
It's Tokyo
familiar.
Movie Shinsha is a
Oh,
famous
okay.
animation studio where I think like the bit like Ghibli I think was mainly Toei. I think
Yeah.
that's correct. Miyazaki came from Toei, but like all the other big people started off at TMS.
Yeah, and TMS it's Lupin and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, Toei was like all those early things like Puss in Boots and Animal Treasure Island and all the stuff that
Mhm.
Miyazaki cut his teeth on.
Mhm. So yeah, after that, it was like, oh, my brother has a bootleg VHS copy of what turned out to be Fist of the North Star, and and I
Completely
saw,
appropriate for a young Chris Hoffman.
and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely not the same type of Western animation I was used to, but I pushed that aside. I knew it was like interesting and different. And then eventually I discovered Evangelion, and it was all over from there. I was totally hooked. Like you were saying, I think it was like about halfway through its run of the VHS tapes coming out, and so they would trickle out every couple of months. And instead of going to Suncoast, I would just go into my local video store and would rent them there, and just waiting for the new one to come out, and I'd be on the edge of my seat waiting for the next one to come in. So.
Yeah, getting the
And
videos
like,
used to be so special. I remember even into
mhm.
like the early 2000s with DVD. I remember Fully Cooley had come out, and I wanted the DVDs, and they were sold out everywhere. But I want to, Tom, you might not know some of this. I don't know, but it was like the company that was doing the dubs and producing the DVDs, and I know Steph Shea, who was Mamimi's voice, was involved in all that stuff as well. They sort of were attached to like a local Los Angeles store, and so it was the weirdest thing. Like you would go on eBay, and it's like, oh, I can't get the Fully Cooley collector's box set anywhere. It's sold out. It's like the aftermarket prices are crazy, but you could go to Los Angeles and buy it from the store of the people that made it or something. It was very weird, but I miss all that stuff. It's like, in the era of like, very early internet, like finding these gems and going into a store, like being blown away by what you could find going to a Suncoast or a Tower Records or something like that. Whereas now
Mhm.
you just type in anything and you immediately get it. You don't even need it anymore because it's all digital at this point.
That's very true. It's a whole different situation than it was back then. And it's similar to what you guys were saying with Akira. With me kind of really getting into it with Evangelion, it was like, wow, well, where do you go from here?
I have a
It's
confession. I did not watch Evangelion until way, way later. Like I was working at WayForward. I think I was working with Tom and James at WayForward. It's like only like
mm.
a decade or so ago that I first started watching it. Somehow it completely
How do
passed me
we how
by.
do we eject Adam from this call? Is that possible?
But I did watch. I did go pretty deep dive on other stuff. Like I remember in college, uh, getting getting imports of the Ghibli stuff before it was available here, giving it to my film teachers so that they could like show stuff off. I remember I was super obsessed in college with Yoshiaki Kawajiri, most famous for doing Ninja Scroll and for running Madhouse, and just like devouring everything I could find by him. And I think that was also kind of one of my favorite things learning anime, was like learning the individual directors and lead animators, and then just like aggressively tracking down everything you could find from particular talents.
So, what would you say that anime means to you guys, and why would you consider yourself an anime fan?
And
Ralph, you want to go first?
I think we also have James. Are you here now?
Hi.
Hey,
Oh,
we have
hey, James.
another Way Forward director, James Montagna, here as well. And you're aware of anime, right? You bought an anime or two in your life.
Animine? What? Yeah, I've dabbled a little bit in the animes. Yes.
But yeah, sorry, Chris. What was your Hoff? What was your question again?
Well, if James wants to tell his anime origin story, you can go ahead
Oh,
with
yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a short story. I started watching anime when I was like 4. But I guess it depends on your definition of anime. I used to really like the
Flexible.
show Rainbow Bright, and that was like animated overseas, and it might as well have been anime. So my first like
Those magical
love in
girls.
this world, yeah, they're magical, right? So my first love in this world is Rainbow Bright, which is extremely formative. Um, even to this day on everything I've ever made. But my first anime I loved was, I think I was about 6 years old. I became obsessed with it. Mori no Yokai no Kobito Tachi Belfi no Little Bit, which was actually a Nick Jr. cartoon called The Little Bits. And I was watching The Little Bits a lot. And so I didn't realize until later that it came from Japan and was anime. But yeah, I had this like occurrence that anime existed later in life, except I only ever read the word. So I was like on like America Online where you type in keywords of what you wanted to find. And I couldn't remember the words. So I was just typing Animine, Amine, and I just wasn't finding it. Eventually, I got it right, probably 7 tries later. And that kind of opened up the world of the rest of anime to me. And yeah, just grew from there. So that's my story.
All right, right on. Um, okay, so yeah, my follow-up to that was, for all you guys, what does anime mean to you? Why do you consider yourself a fan?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I guess I know it's kind of weird to like group stylistically when it's just an art form. It's just animation in Japan, but I think a lot of Japanese animation tends to just have a very cool aesthetic, very nice, appealing, both in the manga and the comics and in the animation. Just, cool
That's it
character.
for me. I just love the look.
Yeah, cool character designs, cool color choices, dynamic angles. It just, it has a very, unique flavor to everything. And to where I think that's very influential on WayForward games.
Mhm.
And we actually do
Sure.
coordinate with a lot of uh, you know, uh, Japanese artists and Japanese animation studios and talent as we do our games. But yeah, I mean, Shantae, clearly very anime inspired. River City Girls, stylistically, very animated inspired. Even though it's kind of funny because the lead illustrator on that is from Texas, is not somebody from Japan. But I don't think it's necessarily something we're consciously making an effort to say, hey, like let's make WayForward games kind of feel anime aesthetic. I think it's just
Mhm.
aesthetically we kind of like the style of a lot of popular anime, and just like I'm also fans of a lot of Western type stuff too, and it all just kind of permeates based on what everybody at the studio likes, based what the individual directors like. But yeah, for me, it's just the style of it. It feels more stylish, it feels more edgy, it feels just more eclectic, I think, than a lot of Western American or European sensibilities, which are also cool, but just very stylistically different from anime.
Hmm. Tom, how would you answer?
It's a weird question for me. I think growing up it was just cartoons that were like more mature, like grew up with us. So you could find an action cartoon that was exciting
Sure.
for a teenager or a college student versus
Mhm.
American animation where that wasn't true. But now I think you get animation from everywhere that fits that. An adult would be like, "Oh, I want to see an action show, and this is an action cartoon, and that's fun."
Mhm.
So it almost means less now. It's just cool animation, but it's the cool animation that happens to come from Japan. But now, like, I've had a debate with one of our producers here about if the Scott Pilgrim anime that came out 2 years ago is anime
Mhm.
because it's made in a Japanese group by Japanese people, but our producer was contending that it's an American brand, so it's not anime. So,
Mhm.
what is
Boo!
anime is really weird now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
know.
it's it's a
anime.
little fast and loose. There's no hard
I maintain it's
definition,
an
but
anime,
it's arguable.
and we get into a whole argument because they also animate Dan to Dan, and I'm like, so that's an anime,
Uh,
but this isn't.
mhm.
But uh, but yeah, so anime is cool cartoons that for not just for kids, that ranges all ages.
Mhm.
Um, and now that that's worldwide, anime's from Japan.
Mhm. Um, So you mentioned that it was cool action that was better for like a teenage audience and stuff, and that was kind of thing that I like is that for me anime was like, oh, it's not just action. There was like a very prescriptive formula for what had to be American or Western animation, and almost always was action or it was comedy. But there can be anime with none of that stuff. It can be romance, it can be drama, it can have like real emotion and real stakes. And I think that's what made it stand out to me is that it's an art form. It's not just a genre unto itself.
And that's a
Yeah, I
better
think
way of putting it. What Hoff
yeah,
said.
I think we always kind of use the term at WayForward for our games, high personality, and I think that's something that you just see all over the place in anime. I think that's why there's similar sensibilities, but yeah, it's just like heavy drama, heavy action, satisfying character development, sometimes leaning into tropes like this character is like this and this character hates this character. It's just, really just looking for those fun kind of collisions between visuals and personalities and stuff. I think is so key to our style, and yeah, that's what I think of when I think of anime.
James, anything you want to add?
I guess what appeals to me about anime personally is like the stories and narratives that you find. A lot of the time, it's like an ongoing. It's just like deeper and richer. Whereas I was finding when I was younger, watching things, American cartoons is like at the end of every episode they hit the reset button, and
Hmm.
that was I think initially what appealed to me from like just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
engrossing standpoint, and that and just
Mhm.
like the art sensibilities. Just I guess I grew up around them, connected with me. I love it to this day. But if I go back and watch the little bits now versus a American children's cartoon back in the day, I feel like maybe I would enjoy like the anime storytelling more, even as an adult. So it feels a little more timeless to me. That's just the impression that I have. So yeah, that's what I think.
Sounds very reasonable to me.
Yeah, I think a
So,
lot of it also kind of comes down to, I think anime, and again, this is a broad generalization, but they often feel like they get more bang for their buck out of the budget. In so much as I think if you look at a lot of 80s Western animation, Western studios nowadays, looking back on stuff from 30 years ago, you can really see the budget. You can really see the cut corners. You can really see kind of some of the shoddy animations. But with animation from Japan, again speaking very broadly, it feels like there's like a level of polish or a level of like consistency in the vision regardless of the budget. And like one of the perfect examples for that for me was always the movie Perfect Blue, the first movie by Satoshi Kon. It's a budget anime, and they have, you can watch the movie and there's so little actual animation. Like there's so many holds, there's so many just like you can all like really sense, and he's talked about it before he passed in interviews, like the but limited budget, that limited frame count they have, but what's there is just so amazing bang for the buck. And when they do go full animation and really lean into, okay, this is going to be a very heavily animated sequence, it really comes to life. And I think that's something that you also see a lot in anime. Is you see series like Kill la Kill, where you would have the most gorgeous, mind-blowing 5 seconds of continuous animation, and then you have a talking scene where they'll just hold on one pose for 10 seconds with just a lip flap. And it seems like they really are very smart about how they budget, where they can put the oomph in the animation, as opposed to Western cartoons from the 80s were more kind of just across the board animated at a certain quality level, and sometimes that quality suffered. They didn't really have those amazing moments.
it's true. So, Adam, if I were to ask you your all-time top 5 favorite anime, what would you say?
Um, I would be hard pressed to do top 5. You're really putting us on the spot for that.
I am.
I love Fully Cooley. The first season is just so good. I know and I love Akira. I mean, I like a lot of the ones that everybody else likes, but I will say that and maybe not necessarily a popular decision or opinion, my favorite anime film of all time is the Cowboy Bebop movie, but that is also my favorite film of all time. I like that more than any movie by Spielberg or Fincher or Kurosawa.
Wow.
I just love the Cowboy Bebop movie. I think it is just so perfectly done. And when I was a freelancer transitioning from doing freelance at home to working at WayForward, I would just have that thing on in the background. I've probably like listened to that movie hundreds of times, and yeah, so that's my clear number one is the Cowboy Bebop movie. I'll also give a shout out to the weird animes that are sort of lost to time. Like certain things you just can't really get anymore. That's actually a good example of one you can't get just like a streaming version of Cowboy Bebop the movie. It's just not available
Yeah, that's
because
weird.
of weird rights issues. A couple other ones that I thankfully have on DVD that I've been introducing my kids to as we watch Blood the Last Vampire, the OAV of that. So well done, incredibly well animated, like 40, 50-minute anime, completely lost to time. Same thing with Big O. We luckily have all the Big O DVDs. Can't get those
Great choice.
anymore. So yeah, those
I forgot
those are
about that
definitely
one.
some of my favorites, if not my in and out of my top 5.
All right, cool. Tom, what would you say?
I'll answer in a minute. I wanted to ask Adam if he's seen Lazarus yet. That's the new anime.
I have
phenomenon
not.
movie.
My son is watching it. The
I
trailers
don't even know
look
what that is.
fantastic. It's the new
Let me know.
Shinichiro what's it?
Shinichiro
Watanabe.
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Shinichiro.
Yeah, Shinichiro Watanabe, the Cowboy Bebop guy, the Samurai Champloo guy. It looks great. I have not watched it yet, but my son said it's fantastic.
Okay, I'm curious because I enjoyed it while it was running, but I found the ending let me down. In my I reflected on myself. It's kind of similar to my feelings on the Cowboy Bebop movie. So I'm curious what you would think of Lazarus. So let me know when you check it out.
Interesting. Yeah, I've seen a few of his things over time, and they're always very stylish. They're always cool, but boy, it's gonna be hard for him to ever top what he did with Cowboy Bebop, I think.
Well, the action in Lazarus tops it. Purely, again, I'm painting myself as a guy that only cares about action, which is completely circumstantial and not true. But the action scenes in Lazarus are nuts. Anyway, top 5. Hoff warned me, so I wrote this down. Number 1 with a bullet, Evangelion.
Right on.
Then Dan to Dan, the
Oh wow.
newcomer.
It's so fun. I've only seen a few episodes. It's just so fun immediately.
But when I
Apparently
watched
season
the first,
2 just came out like today. Well, it's really like the second
today?
half of the first season. Yeah, that's what
Hey,
someone in
I
chat
gotta
is
go.
saying.
No, when I watched the first episode of Dan to Dan, my immediate response was like, "This is the greatest first episode since Evangelion." So
yeah, it's so. I had the exact
list.
same reaction. It's so perfect in how it sets up the characters in the world. It reminds me, oddly, even though it's completely different, of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Like the first 15 minutes of that movie is so perfect in setting up the world and the relationships. And I hadn't seen that done so well until I saw the first episode of Dan to Dan, like you said.
Yeah, it's so good. Then Bebop, which we just talked about.
Okay.
It's number 3. Wow, this is a Watanabe list. Then Macross Plus is number 4, which is what
Right.
the Bebop team did before Bebop. But
I've never seen that. Sorry to say.
It's available on Disney Plus and Hulu. You can watch either the movie or the series. And Adam, you would love it. So you should check it out.
It's just one of those I never got to. Oh, by the way, before you continue, I do remember one that is absolutely on my top 5 list is Memories, which is Otomo and Satoshi Kon and Yoko Kanno and lots of talented people.
Oh, I should couch this list in saying I left off all Ghibli and all movies. This is a series list.
Fair. That was fair to do.
I had to have some kind of guideline or it would be nuts.
I agree. I try to do the same thing.
And then for number 5, I put Frieren, which is another current anime.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
It's about I'm going to shill for it. It's about it's like an RPG took place 50 years ago, and one of the party members was an elf, and so this is how her life, like all the humans have died because she's an elf, and so she's seen the world that they saved and how it progresses. It's really good. It's a little slow. If you're young, probably don't watch it, but if you're an old man, you'd probably like it.
My kids like it. The only thing I know about it is she gets eaten by mimics because there are like a million toys of her getting eaten by a mimic.
She's old, but in elf years she's young, so she's stupid. So if there's a treasure chest, she'll try to open it without checking if it's a mimic, and so she's frequently eaten by mimics.
Okay. James, do you have a top 5?
Goodness, I work with people that have great taste, and I feel like I'm just going to repeat your guys' answers, but I'll try to give my top. Let's see. I'm good. You know what? You know when you like reach that level of like hipster where you loop back around and now you're kind of basic. I feel like my anime love, like I like the things that a lot of people like, but I'm just going to put it out there anyway. I've watched a lot, but all right, the OG seasons of Sailor Moon, they really hold up. They just have such an aesthetic, such a charm. The music is just like phenomenal. I don't know. I go back and watch them like every couple of years, and I'm like, nope, still love it. It's still perfect. So yeah, that would be one of my answers. I really like Spy Family. It's just so charming. Yeah. It's so accessible. I think there's just something for everyone with Spy Family. It's just like I just really, really became engrossed in it. It's one of the newer ones that I just found myself really enjoying.
It's great.
Great. It is. It really is. Cowboy Bebop. It's just the storytelling, the characters, the setting, just the vibes, unmatched. The music. Oh my gosh! Like, don't even get me started. I just
dogs.
Yeah, dogs. Yes. So the other ones I would say Azumanga Daioh. Azumanga Daioh came out in the 90s, and I was just like really, really obsessed with it. Late 90s, early 2000s. I was just really all about watching. I've seen every episode of it, and it's really just like a slice of life anime of just following these schoolgirls and what they discuss and what they do in their day. And I'd never seen anything like it up to that point. It really was just so just fun and just charming and delightful and just stupid in the best ways that I could just turn my brain off, put it on, and just relax and enjoy it. And it's just would crack me up so much. And finally, I got to say number 1, Lupin the Third. It's the greatest
Okay.
anime of all time. It's legendary in Japan. Everyone
Yeah.
knows it. It's just so phenomenal and timeless. The characters, like every character has their role, and they're just like they're always there. You've got Zenigata, the police chasing Lupin, and of course, Lupin the Third, the gentleman thief, all the different capers that he and the crew go on, Jigen, Goemon, and of course, Fujiko's like such an interesting character. She's either on Lupin's side, sometimes not when it's convenient for her, and I just think they perfected the dynamic, and then they just keep growing it and growing it, and the stories are great. It's just timeless. It's the best. Period.
Definitely a classic.
I
Yeah,
think
for me,
Azumanga Daioh is lost to time too. Since we were talking about stuff you can't find anymore. Sadly, I don't think Azumanga
yeah, I
Daioh is
think I've
available.
seen that. That's one I would like to hunt down after
It's
hearing
great.
James speak
Everyone
so
should hunt
highly
it
of
down.
it. But
Yeah,
it's really good.
Fully Cooley is weird the first season because it is not lost to time, but it is like lost to quality. It was made later than when they were doing cell animation, but before they were doing HD digital animation. So there is no great perfect HD version of Fully Cooley season 1. There's only weird sort of like upscale versions of it, sadly. But yeah, Hoff, what are your top ones?
okay, yeah, my first Neon Genesis Evangelion, obviously one of the most influential anime of all times, and the one that really got me into it because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so what's going to happen next? It's so gut wrenching. Number 2, Cowboy Bebop, as we already talked about just a little bit ago, just very exciting and hits all the right notes, and so very different from pretty much anything else out there. My number 3 would be Steins Gate, which was actually a visual novel before it was an anime, but it wasn't released in North America. So the anime actually came out in North America before the game did, and it's just a really great story. The characters at first are like kind of annoying, but they become really, really enthralling, and the localization is amazing because it all relies on a lot of like 2010s like kind of Japanese memes and stuff, but they were able to rewrite that brilliantly for North America. So if you guys haven't seen that, you should totally check it out. I actually think that the anime probably is a little bit better than the game. Then number 4 on my list would be Pluto, which I'm surprised was not on any of your guys' lists.
No, I've never seen. I know what
It's
it
so
is
good.
from the cover art.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off interpretation of Astro Boy, only like way more dramatic, dark. I mean, normally if I hear something, it's like, oh, it's a dark interpretation of this, I'm kind of turned off. But this is really, really well done, and it really sets up the characters, makes you really care about them. And I admit I got a little bit misty-eyed with some of the stuff that was going on. And even more than that, it actually made me get into Astro Boy. I mean, I know that could be considered like the the pre-anime, like kind of that's where it all started, sort of. But watching Pluto made me watch like all of the early 2000s Astro Boy series just to see where all that stuff originated from. And I spent like how many hours was that? Like 20 hours of early 2000s Astro Boy cartoons. But it was that good that it convinced me to watch all that and learn where all that stuff originated.
That's awesome. I'll have to watch that. I'm also an Astro Boy fan. It almost made my list, so that's really good to hear. Also, fun fact: I probably wouldn't be on this earth if it weren't for Astro Boy, because my mom always tells me she decided to date my dad because she said he looks like Astro Boy. So thank you,
Yeah.
anime, for bringing me into this world.
So that's where you get your good looks.
That's why I look like Astro Boy and wear a red diaper and big red boots everywhere I go.
No shirt. It's so
Up
weird.
and Adam.
And then just to clear to finish this off, number 5, I'm undecided. I'm going to say Attack on Titan, just because it gives me a lot of the same feels as Evangelion does, as far as keeping me guessing and making me think lots of thoughts when the ending came around. But moving
Good list. By the way, I formally wrote my list while we were waiting. So
okay.
my top 5 is officially Cowboy Bebop movie, Memories,
Okay.
Fully Cooley, Bubblegum Crisis, and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, which I think is the best Kawajiri
good.
movie ever.
So good.
Great list.
We all have great taste, you guys. And no one said Full Metal Alchemist, so we win.
We did it. I'm surprised you didn't have Trigun on your list. You're a big Trigun fan, right, Tom?
I love Trigun. Mostly the manga though, because I discovered it, meaning I hadn't heard of it till I saw it in the bookstore. Before it was ever an anime, and then the anime has budget problems, so I can't love the classic anime. Um, but I will endorse the current Trigun. I think the new anime is actually really cool, so people should check that out if they haven't.
All right. Well, transferring over more to Anime Expo specifically, transitioning, I should say, over to Anime Expo specifically. We've been at Anime Expo for a few years now, as Adam mentioned. Probably our first big splash at Anime Expo was in 2019, where ARC showed off River City Girls prominently, and that was kind of its big coming out party, and that went over really well. And also, Studio Trigger showed the intro to Shantae and the Seven Sirens, and everyone just went wild for that. So that was like a really awesome year for us at Anime Expo, even though we weren't really present as a company. But it really impressed us with how well that stuff was received.
Yeah,
And I
huge
think
thank
that's kind of
you.
what led us into doing those later panels.
I was going to say huge thank you to Arc System Works and especially Carrie Shiro and Mikey of SC Media for including us and with the River City Girls launch. That was an interesting one too, because normally we reveal our games in a trailer or maybe like a Nintendo Direct or something like that. That was one where nobody knew River City Girls was a thing until the trailer came out, and you could also go play it at Anime Expo. And I think that sort of like cohesive announcement of here it is, it's completely brand new, it's sort of one foot in this existing thing you might have heard of, but you're seeing the intro, and then you can also get your hands on it if you're at the expo. I would love to see us do more like mega launches like that as far as reveals of our games.
Everything just came together really, really well for that one. It would be cool to do something similar to that again in the future. So how did we end up getting there for the last couple of years, and what were the main things that we were able to reveal there? Refresh my
Yeah.
memory.
So we this will be our third year, and the first year, I believe I might have them backwards, but we revealed Rose and Camellia collection.
Oh, that's
Nobody,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
nobody knew that we were doing anything with that, and then we had the awesome trailer that showed the HD gameplay we developed with Nagoro and the animated intro sequence by David Liu and Future Club, and so yeah, that was cool to show off that stuff. And then I think that was the first year, unless I have them flipped. And then last year we
Yeah, you're right.
revealed Sigma Star Saga, which is now known as Sigma Star Saga DX, our classic WayForward RPG shmup hybrid game that Matt Bozon directed and I assistant directed 20 years ago. Yes, we're very old, and we were able to work with Bandai Namco and get the rights to bring that back. It's already been pre-sold on GBA reproduction carts, and now we are working on getting it on PC and all consoles. And so that was a very cool reveal last year. We are hopefully going to be doing some cool reveals this year. It's coming down to the wire in terms of like what we can show and what we can't show yet, but I'm pretty certain that we'll have
Very
some
much down to the
interesting.
wire.
Yeah, but even if certain things fall through, we have backup stuff that we can show that's cool. So yeah, in addition to just promoting all of our currently available and already announced games and products, we want to make it a habit to reveal something that nobody's ever heard of before at the end of each one of our panels.
Yeah, like you mentioned Sigma Star Saga. We're going to be talking more about that. We're going to be talking more about Shantae Advance. We're going to be talking about more of some of our other recent releases. And as we have mentioned, we will be giving out a freebie to everybody who attends. So I think we are ready to reveal this freebie.
Free stuff is cool.
Oh, it's shiny.
Yeah. So basically, what this is the first WayForward collector card. You can see a big 01 in the corner. We love whenever we can get out and we can see you guys in person. You guys can meet all the game directors and everything. And we were talking with our CEO Voldy Way and said, oh, it'd be great if we could have something like specific to kind of commemorate the occasion. And so we designed this card, and it has Kabako and Squiddy from Catgirl Without Salad, and they're drawn by their illustrator designer, Lindsay Collins. And we wanted to kind of just do something for the people that show up. So you can, there's a clear homage in the card. I won't say what it is. I won't spoil. But if you know anime
No,
as
it's
well as the
very
people in this
unique to me. I
call,
don't know. I couldn't even begin to guess.
although you know what, to be fair, it could also be like a dozen different things. So, but yeah, we printed a couple hundred of these, and everybody who shows up at our panel tomorrow will get a WayForward collector's card with the holofoil holographic front illustration, and we'll be giving them out to you guys in nice. They're already pre-packaged in collector's cases, so they won't get damaged. So yeah, and the intention is that we can do something like this, some new card with a new number featuring a WayForward character, and kind of playing with the idea of what event we're debuting and celebrating at, and do that as much as possible as we go forward. So come on out tomorrow and get your hands on one of these cards. If you're in the panel, we will give you one totally free.
All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. We'll be having free cards. We'll be having a Q&A session. We'll be having trivia with some prizes, and be having behind-the-scenes info and new reveals. So please look forward to join us tomorrow.
And I see some questions from people that might have just joined. We're talking about Anime Expo. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, Anime Expo, and go to the WayForward panel tomorrow. We're going to be talking about all our games and such, and that's how you can get your hands on one of those cards.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of questions and answers, we have a whole bunch of them that have shown up in chat here. So let's get through as many of those as we can. The first one is from ArtArt20, who asks, why don't you have a release date for the new Shantae game yet? There's no reason why you're hiding it from us. Okay, I am going to exclusively reveal right now. It is coming out on Febtober 42nd. You can mark it on your calendars. We don't know the date yet. We're not sure. If we said something, there's a good chance it would be wrong, so we are not giving out a date yet. We have something in mind. We think we'd like it to come out then, but until we can confirm for sure, we don't want to say that and then like yank it away like loosely with the football. So we will share it with you as soon as we can, but the fact is we just don't know for sure what it is yet. Next question, it comes from Doodle Doop, who asks, when did you guys start working with Christina V? When did she become your go-to voice director for current projects?
So James, I believe, was the first one to work with her on a WayForward project, right?
That's right. Yeah. So I met Christina through a mutual friend, Maddie Lim, who also does work on WayForward stuff as a musician and sometimes programmer. But yeah, they were connected because they were working on like music projects together where Christina would sing and Maddie, she would like create the music, and they were just like, they met online. And then the day that they were going to meet in person, I was like Maddie's like stranger danger friend, like I'm gonna drag someone along with me. And so Christina, we met Christina, and she had her stranger danger friend, Mickey Chang, and we all met for the first time. And then even she ended up working on WayForward stuff, uh, coordinating the voice related things. And ultimately, we all became friends and ended up working together on stuff because we all just had like roles that could mesh really well. And it was the Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal Our Garbage Nintendo 3DS and DS game, where I was like, let's all just jam and do something cool. So we had Christina lend her voice to that game for some songs for vocals. And from there, I had the opportunity to introduce Christina around to folks like Adam and, of course, Matt Bozon. And I think once they saw how skilled Christina was, there was immediate chemistry there, and it ended up being that she could be the voice of Shantae.
Yeah, she. I think the first thing that we worked with her in a director, casting director, and vocal director capacity on was Till Morning's Light a little over a decade ago, and yeah, it was because James was working with her, but also we knew her from doing all of the VO and direction and casting for Skullgirls by a lot of our friends, and it was like super high quality. So we hadn't really done much VO up to that point. Even when we did like Centipede, it was just kind of us just grabbing individual actors. Double Dragon was mostly WayForward staffers doing the voices. So Till Morning's Light, to my recollection, was the first like traditionally cast and VO stuff where we drove it. Now, obviously, that's not counting stuff like having it done via Konami on Silent Hill or with Warner Brothers on Batman. But yeah, she really helped us kind of grow to be independent as far as like VO producers as a studio.
All right, there you have it. There's all the details on how we met with Christina V. Move on to the next one from Uni Warrior Thomas, who asks, are you guys familiar with Mazinger Z? I
Heck
am.
yeah.
I remember Mazinger Z from back in the day. Transor Z over here. I had a friend who was super into it all the time. I remember his torpedo missiles, that's for sure.
I said I remember Aphrodite's missiles.
Yes, exactly. How can you forget?
Well, no, it's funny because I actually the other day I was trying to remember if I'd imagined that or not because I couldn't remember what it was called, and then I watched a YouTube video about Mazinger Z and I was like, oh, there it is. It existed. I'm not crazy. So
it really is like the giant robot like origins. I mean, I know there was some giant robot stuff before that, but I think that's what kind of cemented it in Japanese culture. So it's great. And
so Mazinger Z is Shogun Warriors, right? The toys, I believe. Yeah.
Long story.
Oh.
Yeah, I was less familiar with it. I was a huge fan of Ashley Wood 3A toys, and he did his own version of the Shogun Warriors, like gigantic, barely articulated robot warriors, and I had a few of those. So that's.
Oh, you're right. It was a part of the Shogun Warriors line. Yeah. Okay. So it seems like that was how it was brought over here at one point. Interesting. Hey, I learned something new. Wonderful.
Okay. Next question from Shantae3601. Have you ever think about having any Shantae characters in any other game like Brawl Stars or Cookie Kingdom Run? I'm going to go on a limb and say we probably haven't thought about Cookie Kingdom Run, but this is all Matt and Aaron Bozon territory.
I know he's
Adam,
open to it.
Add?
Yeah, he's open to it, and she's done a few crossovers, or at least like content crossovers. You can get a Shantae costume, and you could get her as a spirit in one of the previous Smash Brothers games. She did a crossover with Blaster Master. So we don't do a lot. I mean, he's very careful, and I think WayForward in general is careful about lending our characters out. But yeah, I know that Matt's open to it, so hopefully we'll see some more of them in the coming years.
I mean, I think they think about it all the time, but anything new to announce? Nope, not today, that's for sure. Not from us. Next question from, I cannot pronounce the katakana at all, but the question is, which anime would you like to make a video game of?
I would say anything very girly and mech-y, like a Bubblegum Crisis or a Dirty Pair or a Cutie Honey, something like that.
I'd say Evangelion or Trigun. Gimme.
Ooh, Evangelion.
Sorry,
I'll add
a deep cut. Escaflowne would be a great video game.
Okay. James, any opinion?
I want to make a Sailor Moon game. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I knew you were going to say that one. I was betting on myself. I bet right. After the chat we just had, I'm going to say Translor Z.
I will tease. I will say we are in conversations directly with Japanese IP holders about some cool anime brands. It might be ones that we just mentioned, might be ones that we're not mentioning, but WayForward has become much more aggressive in terms of going after the IPs that we want, and we're having some awesome conversations right now behind the secret doors.
Can't wait for James's Cutie Honey game.
Oh, you know I would.
Very tantalizing. Let's see. We have one from Games4567. Is Bolo going to have a girl? I don't really know what that means. But if you play Shantae Advance, a spoiler alert, we learn that Bolo does not know where babies come from. So probably not. Next one is from Andrew Smith Lokawan, who asks, are you planning to make another main villain in the Shantae saga besides Risky? Well, we will just have to see what the future of Shantae holds. We will not be talking or speculating about that today. You'll just have to stay tuned and see what, if anything, happens after Shantae Advance Risky Revolution. Please look forward to finding out. We have another question from unpronounceable katakana name. Is Extreme Sports Arcade Summer Edition in any way related to the GBC Extreme Sports? Does anyone here know?
Oh, that's deep cuts.
That's the boxed PC game, right? I believe.
I can't remember.
So my
I
understanding,
know we have the other Extreme Sports game in the display case, but I don't know if it's that one.
My understanding is that WayForward, who before Extreme Sports and Wendy the Witch and Shantae did a lot of PC CD-ROM games, did a mini game collection called Extreme Sports, and it has similar sports games to the Game Boy Color game that our fans know and love, but does not have that Matt Bozon art style. And I think what it was is, I believe that was the main product, and then essentially it was added onto it. Oh, let's make a Game Boy Color one as well. And for whatever reason, there was the flexibility for Matt to kind of go with more of the art style that he loves, again, more very anime-ish, and that came from there. So I don't think the characters cross over. I think, maybe some of the sports do. I don't know, James, if you know more than that, but it is made by us. We made both versions, but that is it does not feel very WayForward-y compared to the Game Boy Color game.
Yeah, that's all accurate. I have the CD sitting over here in my drawer. It's it's definitely a different experience from the Game Boy game. As a curio, I mean, if you can find it, check it out. But I don't think it has like the amount of like depth as the Game Boy Color game. But hey, it's a really interesting piece of history, isn't it? What an interesting question to bring that up.
All right, and thank you for the answer, guys. Next question is from Korilu Stromboli, who asks, have you thought about making a WayForward All-Stars fighting game with Arc System Works?
Not with Arc System Works, but we have thought of making multi-WayForward fighting games. We have a really cool multi-WayForward fighting game mock-up that we did a number of years ago. We should see if we can show that off. Because we're not doing anything with it right now. But yeah, no, I think, the thing with fighters that's tough is as soon as you make a fighter game, like a real fighter game, you're competing with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and like
it's tough to break out.
Anything that gets played at Evo and is like, people are like, finessing it to like the milliseconds. That's tough. I think more our speed tends to be brawlers, which have a lot of the same mechanics, but you're, doing it as you're wandering and having a story, or definitely action platformers or Metroidvania, stuff like that, I think is more our speed, because there's not such a, do or die on the precision of exactly the fighting mechanics interacting. Although I know, especially on the River City Girls games, Bannon went pretty crazy with that, so you can see people doing crazy endless juggles and stuff like that. So we always talk about doing fighters. We're always a little bit hesitant to. I think if we were to do one, we have talked about the possibility of doing something akin to Super Smash Brothers or Dragon Ball FighterZ, or something akin to like Power Stone, like an arena 3D brawler. So hopefully someday you'll see one of those from WayForward.
That would be cool. We are coming up. Actually, now it is 2 o'clock. Oh, do you guys have to jump off, or do you think we can still get in several more minutes of Q&A here? How your
I'm
schedule's
fine
looking?
for a little bit.
I need to jump, but I don't care if other people answer questions.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try and do some rapid questions.
All right. Well, let's just see what we got here. Okay, Uni Warrior Thomas, are you guys into Kamen Rider?
I think it's very cool. I have not seen the Shin Kamen Rider movie yet, but I want to.
James, Tom?
Yeah, I want to see it too. It's on my. I think it's on Amazon. It's on my Amazon queue.
I feel like it's a bit of a blind spot for me. I'll have to get into it since I have so many friends that are like super obsessed. So, yeah, I'll have to check it out.
I admit I've never seen any Kamen Rider stuff either. Jay Tatsumaki asks, you still using sprites for games in the future? I hope so. Well, not a
We are
question,
using a tremendous amount of sprites. It doesn't, even if we wanted to get away from it, we keep having opportunities come to us where people are like, "Hey, do that pixel thing." So yeah, we're doing full 3D games. We're doing full HD 2D games. We're doing sprite games. We're doing hybrid games like River City, where it's got a little bit of each, and yeah, everything in between. But yeah, pixel games from WayForward I do not think those are likely to go away anytime soon.
if you like them pixels, be sure to pick up Shantae Advance when it comes out this summer. Um, Valdemir64, was River City Girls inspired by Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game? I'm sure Adam has things to say about this. My response is Scott Pilgrim was inspired heavily by
Yeah.
the Cuneo River City series, which obviously River City Girls is part of. So I
Yeah,
think
we
they're.
get that a lot. It
Mhm.
wasn't in a way. So Bannon and I did not really pull anything from the Scott Pilgrim game when we were developing the first River City Girls. We're definitely familiar with it, and a lot of our good pals like Mario Cartwright worked on that title. I've said before, Scott Pilgrim the IP, the movie, and the comic books were very big in terms of inspiring kind of the personality of River City Girls. So that was a clear influence. But yeah, the gameplay, we mostly just looked at the Kunio-kun games, River City Ransom, which, like Hoff said, is the primary inspiration point for that Scott Pilgrim game. The game that Bannon had already done, River City Ransom Underground, the game that we later ported as River City Girls Zero, which is Kunio-tachi no Banka, Double Dragon, heavy influence Double Dragon. But I wouldn't say that Scott Pilgrim, the first video game, was a particular influence on the River City Girls games.
All right, thank you for clearing that up. It sounds like Tom has to roll, but Tom, thank you for joining us today and discussing anime. Yeah, you will not be at the panel tomorrow, but I'm glad you're able to share your thoughts with us in this discussion today.
Yep. Thanks so much. Sorry I won't be there tomorrow, but everyone enjoy your free card. Don't forget, show up, get a card, and I'll talk to everybody later. Thanks, guys.
All right, later, Tom.
And if you're very good at WayForward trivia, you'll get more than a card. As we did in the
This is
previous
true.
2 years, we're going to do trivia. Hoff wrote some awesome questions that go across a lot of our brands. And the first person in the panel to answer those 5 or 6 questions will get a physical WayForward limited run games sold out edition of some of our previous games. We're bringing some really good stuff.
Yeah, it's something else to look forward to. And speaking of conventions, next question from Kenzie: has WayForward ever thought about setting up a booth or panel for New York Comic Con?
I would love to. The problem is we're all Los Angeles based, so it's very challenging to do that. I think more likely, maybe if we have some partners out there, we'll often piggyback on booths by partners like Limited Run Games or a Museo or a Sunsoft or Arc System Works. If some one of them has a booth out there, we could probably help have a presence there. I don't think we would do a booth ourselves. When we've done booths ourselves, it's more stuff right here in Los Angeles that we can drive through, like Los Angeles Comic Con. So I think that's probably going to remain true for the time being.
Yeah, the geography is a bit of an issue. Let's see here. Oh, from Pinkiest Prime, if you had a if you got to live in an anime world for one day, which anime would you live in?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I feel
It
like a
is.
lot of them would just immediately kill you, so I want to be
Well,
careful in
that's
my
the good thing.
answers.
It's only 1 day, you know? So if you can survive 1 day, that's then you're good. So it's like, I would probably get shot in Cowboy Bebop, but I could probably survive a day there.
I'm trying to think of what is just like a nice, happy anime that people aren't just getting murdered left and right in.
I want to kick
Uh,
back in like My Neighbor Totoro and just like chill in the
yeah,
countryside for a day and have like a cat bus pick me up. That sounds perfect.
there you go. All right, so even though it's a little dangerous, I think if I could just tour an anime world for a day, I'd probably go to the locations in Spirited Away. That would be pretty cool.
Great
Uh,
choice.
Good answers. Let's see here. Um, Edwin Makes Games asks, Don Da Don Season 2 is out today. If you had the IP license to do a Don Da Don game, what genre would you aim for?
I mean, it would definitely have to be very actiony. I think that at least the episodes I've watched, the real core heart of it is the relationship between the two lead characters. And I think
Mhm.
that's something that whenever we have something like that, we will focus on that. When we did the Batman game, Batman Brave and the Bold, for people who are comic book fans, the term Brave and the Bold is a comic book series even before that show that was always about team ups. It's like Batman plus question mark. So in that game, we went so far as to always have an AI character because it was all about the relationships between the two characters. Obviously, with like Masako and Kyoko in River City Girls, it's all about the relationships between the two characters. Vitamin Connection, Vita Boy, Mina Girl, we do these kind of dual character experiences. So that's where my mind would go, would be something where you are either alternating or multiplaying between the two characters since they rely on each other so much. James, what do you think in terms of game design?
I'm only just getting into this anime, so I'll have to hold off on my answer, but now I'm going to keep it in mind while I watch. So thanks.
Yeah, I feel like it'd have to be an action game, but also it'd be nice to have some visual novel components in there as well. Sort of a hybrid between those two would be my initial opinion on that.
It's an
Um,
incredibly perverted anime too. I mean, in a very PG-13 way, but oh my gosh, the innuendo and
yeah,
perviness. So I guess whenever we make a game, that's the expectation. So I don't think we can make a Dan to Dan game without having those like that pervy dialogue.
it it would be tricky. Pinkiest Prime has another one. Was River City Girls inspired by anime?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the most specific way. So it was. I'm trying to think of the origin. I mean, like I said, well, so for writing, the gameplay was mostly Kunio-kun, Double Dragon, stuff like that. The writing was very influenced by Brian Lee O'Malley's writing on Scott Pilgrim, and also just like larger than life, loud type things like Teen Titans Go, which I got to write in a couple episodes for, but stuff where it's just like the characters are big and loud and high personality, Bubblegum Crisis, stuff like that. As far as the beyond that, the art style wasn't specifically. What we do a lot in our games is we kind of find an artist that is like the perfect one for the opportunity. With Yars Rising, it was Ashley Hetrick, was kind of the lead character designer. And so for the entire series of River City Girls, it's been working with Rem, the illustrator of the manga series Devil's Candy. And so we went to her just kind of thinking, oh, she would be great to kind of do these characters. But it wasn't specifically like, hey, let's try and mimic any kind of existing anime style. It was just like, oh, we like this artist and her style tends to feel very anime-ish, even though she does
Right,
mostly
right.
manga. So I think that's where the connection is now. And then as we got into it, that was one of the first games where we did actual full animation sequences, working with Studio Yada, and so that gave that feel as well. And I think we've been clear, the motion comics very directly inspired by the sequence in season 1 of Fully Cooley, where it's the manga sequence comes to life and has limited animation. So all of those bits were like very individually influential.
Okay. Also, another detailed explanation. Thank you kindly for that. Cordro asks, when working on games that are heavily inspired by anime for inspiration, do you look at anime that are currently prominent during development, anime that are from past eras, or does it depend?
I think it normally is just kind of whatever we're interested in. Usually that more determines the
I think
games
it's a
we go
lot of kind of
after.
subconscious, I'll bet.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the one time it was very conscious, though, was River City Girls Zero, Kuniotachi no Baka, because that was a 1994, I believe, Super Famicom game when we did the intro sequence with David Liu directing it and doing a lot of the animation. He and the team worked very hard to make it look like it was animated in 1994. So even though it was all done digitally in terms of line weights, in terms of cleanup, in terms of background paintings and stuff like that, they really tried to make it look like it was an anime of the time. That's the only time I can think of where we're specifically targeting a particular anime for influence in something in a game.
Okay. Oh, we have one here from Black Lightning 100 who asks, who's the best dancer? I'm just going to
James?
assume he means like between the three of us. I'm going to
Oh,
say James.
I
Oh,
am not a
I guess
dancer at
so.
all.
Oh, I love to dance. I like to do like Japanese Obon festival, like traditional dancing, and I like to play dance video games. So maybe I don't think I'm like great, but I guess if we had to all compete, I'd do all right.
It sounds like
Fun
if we had to
question though.
compete, you would compete, and Hoff and I would just shake our heads and sit off on the side.
I've always wanted to do a dance video game though, so maybe one of these days we'll get that opportunity, and then I'll get y'all moving.
Okay, moving on to our next one from Edwin Makes Games. Are there any games based on anime that have influenced your design style? If yes, how so?
I mean, it's not okay. So this is not anime because it's clearly Western animation, but I think for me, a huge influence on the idea that you can have seamless transition between gameplay and just like over the top presentation with animation was the Don Bluth game, specifically Dragon's Lair and especially Dragon's Lair
Huh.
2. Dragon's Lairs 2 is one of the just best animation sequences ever made. Like it is just so mind-blowing how gorgeous it is and everything he fits into those, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is. So I think for me, presentationally, that was like a huge influence. And then, like I mentioned before, a lot of the individual stuff kind of helped with influencing River City Girls. What about you, James? How has some of that stuff influenced your games?
I mean, you look at things like Yars Rising, where Emmy has these sequences where she's gaining a new augment, and it's kind of like entering her DNA, and you get this almost like magical girl-esque sequence. That's very much inspired by things like Utena, and just like we're looking at like classic anime, and it's a little tropey, but I think we're just pulling for influence from the things that we think are awesome, and so that's like a moment, one of many moments. I think for the most part, though, it's kind of just like instinct. It's subconscious. It's not something we're actively like, okay, we're going to reference like this anime or pull influence from this. It's just something you feel. So yeah, input equals output in some ways, and if we consume a bunch of anime, it's just going to show up in little ways here and there.
Mhm. And I think I can say this without it being like a secret or a spoiler, but as development on Shantae Advance was coming together, I know that some folks were looking at the Astro Boy GBA game, just trying to just like, oh,
Oh
can we
yeah.
outdo what's being done here in this awesome anime inspired GBA game? How can we top that? So I think that was a way that an
Yeah,
anime
developed by
game.
Treasure, one of
Right.
the best developers, maybe WayForward's favorite developer of all time. They of Gunstar Heroes, Guardian Heroes, so many Sin and Punishment,
Mischief
Oh,
Ikaraga,
it's split,
makers.
right?
Mischief
It
Makers.
was
So
Treasure and some other major Sega studio, right? Didn't they like hit
I thought it
game?
was just. I think it was just Treasure on that one. I
Huh,
know that with
okay.
Gunstar Superheroes, it was sort of a co-production between Treasure and Sega.
Maybe that's what I'm
Um,
thinking of.
but yeah, I think with but what's really fascinating too is Treasure again. Now we're tangenting, but Treasure
Yes.
kind of had this habit when they were making games to templatize their games and do like almost prototypes. And so if you guys love Astro Boy on GBA, track down. It's really hard to find because it like never got released here, but then like copies showed up later. Track down their Tiny Toons game on GBA. It is very clearly the prototype for Astro Boy. A lot of the gameplay that went into their Astro Boy GBA game was there in like a very weird kind of way. Like it doesn't even have levels. It's sort of just like a side view arena fighter brawler type thing. But yeah, that's one where it has a lot of like gameplay overlap with their Astro Boy game. Tiny
That one
Toons.
never
I
had
think
a
it's
chance
called
to
Buster's
play.
Bad Dream or something on GBA.
Okay, next question from Doodle Dupe. How did your team collaborate with Crunchyroll to make a mobile port of River City Girls?
We had friends there. I don't remember how it started. I think Michelle at Crunchyroll, who we do a lot of our deals with, was friends with Voldy going back like years and years. And I think her dad is also in the industry, and Voldy had worked with him on projects and stuff. So we just started chatting, a couple years ago. I think we were already talking with them as a licensor, as somebody that controls anime. And then when we found out that they wanted to get into games, we said, absolutely, that's, makes total sense for us because, again, so many WayForward games have an anime flavor to them. We were super excited to work with them. We've done half a dozen games with them at this point, that if you are a high tier Crunchyroll subscriber, you can get those games on mobile. A lot of them, the only time you can play those games so far from WayForward on mobile, we kind of adapted a lot of our console games into there. And I love the fact that with River City Girls 1, if you play through the mobile version of that, you can interact with Crunchy Hime-chan, their mascot.
Right.
We added her in one of the shops and got her voice actor from the existing promotions and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's sort of just
cool.
like we chase everything that we like. So I mean, we're talking with a lot of the major anime IP holders and creators and production studios right now. And yeah, it was just we were already talking with them, and then they mentioned, "Hey, we want to do mobile games," and we said we're in.
All right. Next one is from House Hydronoid, who asks, "What's your favorite Lupin the Third thing? Movie slash season slash episode, etc. I love
Oh,
Castle of
That
Cagliostro."
is tough.
likewise. Yeah, Castle of Cagliostro is amazing. It's probably my
Go for that,
favorite
Luke.
movie of all time, next to Mind Game, I guess. Favorite movie of all time, though, Cagliostro. I don't know, Adam, what do you think?
So I like here, let me get the what is the I'm trying to find the title of it. Um Here, let me find something. You talk about some of the more specific ones that you like first, James.
I This is not a popular opinion, but Lupin the Third: The Secret of the Twilight Gemini, it has a nostalgia factor for me. There's just something about it in general, like just the vibe, the setting, the music. It's like Lupin's on a journey through the Moroccan desert, and like Fujiko's there, but she's playing a very specific role, and just there's a new girl in town that is like Lupin's love interest. I just thought like that one, it's weird, but it just like I don't know, it just hits the spot for me. Gosh, maybe also, um, phew, it's tough. Dead or Alive was great in my opinion. I like a lot of the ones that a lot of people are like, oh, it's not the best one, and I don't know why I just seem to gravitate toward them. Lupin versus the Clone. Mystery of Mamo. That is. Cagliostro is just the best one though. And season 2, Red Jacket, Lupin, as far as like the actual series itself, that's the sweet spot for me. That's where the humor, the stories, the music was just like top tier.
All right, Adam, do you have your answer yet? You may not have an answer yet.
Okay, well, you know what? That's tough. There's a lot of really good ones. I recently rewatched Farewell to Nostradamus. That one was released in 1995, and It's an interesting one. It's definitely got its charm. It's not really up to par with like some of the other movies, but every time I watch one, I like find the things in it that reminds me why I love Lupin the Third so much, and that one did.
Sorry about
So
that. I was
what's
muted,
that?
and I was muted, and I was just talking for like a minute.
Oh
So
no!
Oh no.
my favorite Lupin is not Castle of Cagliostro, but it is another Miyazaki Lupin. My favorite thing that ever involved Lupin is the season 2 episode that Miyazaki wrote and directed called Albatross Wings of Death.
Oh, good.
Miyazaki did a bunch of episodes in season 1, and then he did Castle of Cagliostro, and then he did 2 episodes in season 2. That one and the one with the doppelganger. I think it's called like Aloha Lupin or something. But yeah, if you can ever
Yep.
get your hands on Albatross Wings of Death, it's like a 30-minute episode, 22-minute episode. Absolute perfection, hilarious. Fujiko's great. All the characters are great. Some of my favorite animation sequences ever. So that's my all-time favorite Lupin thing. Second place, not counting Cagliostro because it's so great. I love all of the recent Takashi Koike stuff. Especially, I loved his series, Woman Called Fujiko Mine, just because it was so
Right.
weird and so different compared to everything else.
Your first answer is like the top Fujiko moment of all time, period.
Yep.
It's just the
Yep, where
best.
she breaks free. It's so good. I'm looking at images of it on Google right now.
Hottest thing that has ever happened ever.
Hmm. Okay, next question is from Pop's Kitty Cat. Have you ever thought of making a movie/TV show adaptation of any of your games?
Yes, constantly. The
All
problem
the time.
is it is a lot of work. So if you look at River City Girls, the first one, the intro animation I think is something like 30 seconds long. We worked on that for like a year. So that's the problem versus the cool little like motion comic sequence we do where it's like the comic books come to life. Those are a few weeks each, maybe like a month start to finish. So it is just so exhausting to put together full animation. Same thing with when we do our animated intros on Clock Tower and stuff like that. It's so slow. So that's the reason we won't do it. We haven't done it ourselves is because we don't have the resources for it. We're too busy making games. We're very open to it. I don't know if there are any discussions on Shantae because that's not a Shantae game. All of the stuff that is not games specifically with Shantae are controlled by Matt and Aaron Bozon, but I know that Matt hopes to have a cartoon. They might already be talking about it. I have no idea. For
Yeah,
River
something
City
they've wanted to do for
Girls,
years and years.
yeah, for River City Girls, we've talked about it with Arc, and they would love to see an anime, and we would love to see an anime, and I know that they're open to it, and we've tried to like have some conversations and stuff, but we just don't know that industry. I don't even know how you would kind of get that stuff going. But yeah, absolutely, we would love to see anime of all of our stuff.
Hmm. All right, and then the last question for today, another one from Edwin Makes Games. Will the Anime Expo panel get posted anywhere in the future? I would love to watch, but unfortunately cannot attend.
It will not, just because I don't know. I mean, I'm a big fan of like ever since I was like 12 years old going to San Diego Comic Con and seeing the cool reveals and the Hall H stuff and things like that. So I don't think we're really that incentivized to like put out like slide for slide what people are seeing or do recordings of it or anything like that. Very frequently when we reveal trailers for stuff, then we'll post them on our social media afterwards. But no, I don't think that there's a plan for us to post our versions of it online. However, we also do not have any restrictions on people at the panel doing recordings and sharing it, and even sharing full recordings of it. I think somebody did the full panel last year. You can find it on YouTube. So if somebody wants to record it and throw it on that YouTube or any other video hosting service, feel free. But yeah, I think aside from us reposting some of the stuff that we're debuting there, like trailers, I don't think we would focus on recreating the whole panel elsewhere online for people.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, no
Just
plans
gotta come to
for
it.
no plans for posting the channel or the panel officially, but yeah, it's very possible it could show up online from anyone who attends. So that would probably be the best way to be able to check it out if you can't be there in person. And with that answered, that is pretty much a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you, Adam and James, for joining me today. Thank you to Tom again as well. Thank you for everyone who listened and asked questions. And I apologize for the ones we were not able to get to. In case we have not mentioned it enough times, we will be at Anime Expo tomorrow on the 4th of July, holding our panel at 5:45 p.m. in room 404 AB, where we'll be talking about recent and upcoming games, giving out those sneak peeks, answering questions, having that trivia opportunity with prizes, and of course giving out that free collectible card that we showed just a little bit ago, featuring Kabako and Squiddy. James and Adam and myself and a whole bunch of other WayForward directors, including Matt Bozon and Ben Rudis and Michael Herbster, will be on hand, and it's going to be a blast. And then next week, we expect to be back with another WayForward Chat with a very special guest. So please tune in at the same bat time on the same bat channel.
Yeah, and again, like, if you're in the Los Angeles area, if you can get out to Anime Expo, please do. Hopefully it'll be a good panel, but we love interacting with the fans and as much as possible. We'll be giving out the cards, we'll be giving out games for the trivia, but also, as long as up until they kick us out of there, if you guys have stuff you want us to sign, or if you want to come up to the panel afterwards and ask us questions, we loved doing that last year. So yeah, it should be a good time.
All right. Is that it, or is there any last notes before we go?
I think that's it.
See y'all tomorrow.
All right, then. We are out of here. We will catch you next time.